It's time for Law in Our Life. That means that Hyunju is here in our studio. She is a lawyer practicing in Gwangju, and she is also a regular guest and helps us understand the Korean law. Hello, Hyunju.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I am doing just fine. I'm excited for today. We've got a dramatic topic.
Yes.
This was a suggestion from some listeners, right?
Yes.
All right. What have we got?
Today the topic is stalking.
Stalking, which is Konglish, right?
Oh, really?
I think the Korean word for stalking is stalking,
Yes.
right?
We use the same word.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So everyone understands, I think, what stalking is, but it's tough because, what separates stalking from persistence, right? Or,
Yes.
There's sometimes in dating, there seems to be a bit of a pursuit involved, but this is, of course, an unwanted form of attention.
Yes.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yep. Some of you might have heard about stories of intimidating stalking cases. At first, some might consider it as a sign of affection or mere flirting. However, if it becomes serious, it might threaten the peace of your daily life. Stalking is serious, often violent, and can escalate over time.
Okay.
Stalking is a course of conduct directed at a specific person that would cause a reasonable person to feel fear.
That's an interesting definition. Okay.
Unlike other crimes that involves a single incident, stalking is a pattern of behavior. It's often made up of individual acts that could by themselves seem harmless or non-criminal, but when taken in the context of a stalking situation, could constitute criminal acts.
It's sort of a more refined version of harassment, right?
Yeah, continued like a pattern of harassment, maybe.
So what kind of things could the pattern involve?
The pattern of behaviors of stalking can include repeatedly call your phones, following you and shows up wherever you go, sending unwanted gifts, letters, texts, or emails.
Okay. What else?
Or damage to your home or other property, monitor your phone or computer use. They can use technology like hidden cameras to track wherever you go. Or drive by or lingers near your home, school, or work. Sometimes they threaten to hurt you or your family or close friends or even pets.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes they try to control or track or frighten you. So, yep, those are the...
That's all horrible.
Yep.
It sounds like a horror movie, really. Now, how can we deal with this? Because like you said, it's not one specific thing, it's a pattern. Can people be punished for this kind of pattern?
The issue is, in Korea, the stalking itself is not punished seriously as a crime. It is only considered as misdemeanor in Korea. The fine is only like 100,000 won or less.
Oh, wow.
So people don't, even they are caught, they don't think seriously because the fine is so small. So there are criticism and public voice to revise the law to strictly punish stalking, considering its adverse effect.
Okay.
Currently, the individual acts that constitute stalking are often punished with heftier penalty.
What do you mean?
So if somebody texts you with threatening messages continuously, he's likely to be punished by a more serious crime of assault, like threatening, not by stalking.
Okay. So you can maybe still protect yourself by filing charges.
Yes.
Or by making a complaint.
Sure.
At which point the police will maybe file charges.
But the criminal account will not be stalking, but more like assault or battery.
Which is more serious anyways.
Yes.
So get them out of your life. But it's tricky, though. What if it's not that serious? How do we get them out of our life?
Yeah. How can you stop the stalker from harassing you? There are basically two options to protect yourself. One is called 신변 보호 요청, which means the victim protection request. And the other is called 접근 금지 가처분, basically a restraining order.
Right, and we were talking about restraining orders, last week with the domestic violence,
Yes,
right?
it's similar. Yes.
Okay.
If you are harassed by stalking and the offender continues contacting you relentlessly and appears in front of you without your permission, you can file for a victim protection request to the police.
Oh.
It's to the police.
Okay.
You can, in the document, you can mark your specific request, such as whether you want to be protected in a certain facility, or you want regular monitoring near your residence, or installment of CCTV, or if you want a smart watch with location detection and emergency report,
Okay.
or like other stuff.
Yes.
So you will need to elaborate the grounds for such protection measure and the desirable measures.
I see. Maybe a hungry guard dog.
Yeah.
I don't think the police will give you one of those. What else? You mentioned the restraining order.
Yes, another way to secure protection is to file for a restraining order, not to the police, but to the court.
Okay.
So, restraining order can be executed based on Civil Execution Act Article 300. According to the law, it states the measure can be taken specifically when intending to avoid a significant damage on a continuing relation of right, or to prevent an imminent danger, or where other necessary reasons exist.
Okay.
So such measure will ban the stalker from harassing the victim, such as illegal entrance to your residence, calling you, or texting messages, or distribution of rumors, and so on.
Okay.
Also, if the offender violates such order, he will be required to make monetary compensation kind of penalty to the victim for each violation.
Well, that's good. Hopefully, if you're being stalked by someone, they're poor and they can't afford the continued penalties. But I'm sure that's not always how it goes. Now, stalking is a sort of weird situation because we actually hear about it in the news, right?
Yes. Especially last year, the infamous stalker faced criminal charges and a restraining order. He was a relentless stalker of the K-pop star Nayeon from Twice.
Oh.
As he tried to follow her and even was on the same flight to pass gifts to her. He scooped out places that Nayeon visited and tried to pass gifts to her. Nayeon's agency filed a criminal charge to the police against the stalker for interference with business. Also, they filed for a restraining order to the court.
And so that was actually her agency filing it.
Oh, but
right?
Under her name.
Under her name.
Yes, they just helped.
And so that's a thing too, I guess. If your stalker's behavior overlaps, like if they come to your place of work could file some kind of charge against them too or something.
Oh,
right?
Sure, because they're interfering the business in the business place. So the stalking was against one person, but their impact is against the whole, like the business site.
Okay.
So the business owner can like file for such criminal charges.
I see. I don't know what you're allowed to say about what kind of representations you've had, but so I'll try and be pretty broad about it. Have you ever been involved in a case that involved dealing with someone in a stalking case?
Not in a stalking case, but I had cases regarding like the restraining order.
Okay.
Yes.
And I mean, it's pretty easy to set up. It's a pretty smooth process. You cannot set up for like a restraining order just based on your assumption that something's gonna happen. You need some evidence.
Yes. The case that I had was there was several visits before and there were some kind of damages.
Oh.
So she was afraid that it's gonna happen again.
Sure.
So we filed for a restraining order and it was granted.
Okay. That's good. And, I think maybe in some cases, I've heard about when people take people to court here sometimes the other person just kind of stonewalls them, doesn't go to court, doesn't participate in the process. So what would happen there? Like, what would happen if I made a complaint about somebody and then they refused to be interviewed or refused to participate with the court? Would things be more likely to go in my favor?
Depending on, like, if you provide enough evidence to prove your case, then the absence of the other party might not affect that much. But if you have very weak evidence, in that case, you might not be able to, like, establish.
Okay. So it sounds like it's very important to keep a paper trail.
Sure.
You know, if they send you a note, take a picture. If they send you a text message, take a screenshot, or don't. And maybe if they call you, record the call.
Yes.
Right.
Because it's also like restraining somebody's freedom because they cannot like come near to your place or they cannot call you. So it's going to restrict somebody's kind of freedom. So the court is kind of cautious and they need lump sum of evidence to make the decision.
All right. Well, I think because of the modern era with modern technology, it's probably easier to catch.
Yes.
To keep evidence and collect it, right? Now, we can also check this segment out online, right?
Yes. You can find this segment in video and my YouTube channel. You can find me by searching Korean Law 101 on YouTube.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
There we go.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.